Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, Carl.
Hey, how are you?
Hey Patrick, you know that on Navy vessels, because you're a military guy, I know Army, but on Navy vessels, they paint numbers on the sides of the ships, right? To identify them?
Yeah.
Well, you know, Sweden is getting all high tech, and they've removed the numbers and replaced them with barcodes.
Huh.
Isn't that cool?
That's neat.
So now the Swedish Navy can just Scandinavian.
Wow.
Wow. Did not see that coming. No,
I
that
thought
was
it was pretty good.
That was pretty good. It's pretty good. Scandinavian. Yes.
Yep.
At least it wasn't a submarine joke.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Carl was going to go with they actually used real bars for the barcode, and now they all sync. But no.
Oh, that's pretty
not
good,
so
too.
much.
Hey guys, it was a kind of a patchy week, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like all of these either security researchers or hackers out there have been really busy creating brand new flaws for people to fix. So
We actually have some practical advice about the clickbait, which is iOS devices, but we'll get to that at the end of the show.
Hence the clickbait.
I know, right?
Hence the clickbait. Yep. So here we go. Threads. We have an article from AndroidPolice.com, how to use Threads without sacrificing your privacy. Threads, of course, is Facebook's new Twitter alternative. I wouldn't say it's a success story, Threads, but right out of the gate, everybody who is on Instagram said, oh, okay, I'll check out Threads.
I think it's a new Coke story.
Yeah.
Remember when new Coke came out and
Of course.
Pepsi gained market share?
Yep.
So there's some fundamental research that shows that the market leader typically retains their market until they make a mistake. And so I think Threads is in the right place at the right time. They're making it incredibly easy for people to join. And they I didn't have an Instagram account, so I had to create one. But I joined. I'm on Threads now because I want to see how it goes, and I'm hoping that it does prove to be a replacement. But everyone should be looking at the security of any app they install. So this is good advice. You should think about what information am I giving away? We talk about this when we do presentations about keeping your kids safe, but people need to think about it for themselves too.
Sure.
Every little bit of information you give is potentially going to be breached.
Yeah.
And how does that affect you in the future? And how can you minimize that? That's what this article is talking about. And that's what you should think about.
Right. So I don't know what you think about the Threads app, but I'm used to the Twitter app on my phone, and it's very nice. I like it a lot. The Threads app to me just isn't there.
It's basic.
It's very basic. And
You're basic.
the thing that I like about Threads is its potential for the future, right? I mean, first of all, you know, everybody's on it, right? But the potential is they plan to federate access to this thing, or federate servers a la Mastodon. They're using the same protocol, or they want to use the same protocol that Mastodon uses to federate data. And it's not there, right? This is something that they plan to do. But I think that'll be pretty good. I mean, nobody wants like a monolith anymore.
When a monopoly breaks, usually the replacement is less monopolistic.
Sure.
Like when Novell was the insurgent network company, they were open standards and they wanted to free the world, free the networks, because that would let them play. The problem is you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
Right.
Those companies because you talk that talk and made that your brand, you have to produce that. So that's the hope with Threads, is that this idea of text-based messaging and text and image-based messaging that Twitter pioneered and kind of invented in some way, will become, ubiquitous, will become an open market, will become less of a monopoly. And so that's the hope. The fact that Threads has so many users means they have a path forward. Whereas Mastodon, the problem was they were there, but they didn't have the users.
Yeah.
So,
well, they certainly got a lot of users after Elon started mucking around with Twitter.
They did, but they got millions. They didn't get tens of millions a day.
Well, hundreds of millions is what Threads has.
I think Threads got to 10 million in 7 hours.
Yeah.
So
boing.
It's now Meta's ball to drop. They can either like continue, and the expectations are going to be low until you, like right now, you can't see things that you're looking for unless you search for them. Actually, I don't think you can even search for them. So basically there's no feed of events. I can't see things in a chronological order. That's got to change.
Yeah. And there's some other interesting stuff here that I learned in this article, like Threads isn't available in the European Union.
Yep. No, it isn't, because Meta hasn't met their requirements for how the data is protected.
Right.
And they still have so many users.
Yeah.
It's
very convenient.
It's very convenient. Yeah. It wasn't convenient for me. I don't use Instagram.
Yeah.
Me either. And I haven't even looked at Threads, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm still reeling over the dumpster fire list Twitter, where I used to follow security researchers, and now it's all just hate language. But who knows?
Yeah. I talked on .NET Rocks to Grant Barrett, who is just one of these brilliant people. He was in IT years ago, and then he became a lexicographer. And so, he's edited dictionaries and, researched language and all of this stuff. And he is very sad about Twitter because he used to use it as a research tool for, think about it. When was the first time that this particular new term was used, and where in the world did it start? He can map language usage all over the world geographically over time with Twitter. And that was with the APIs, and you can't do that anymore without costing an arm and a leg.
We don't think that Twitter's going away, or do we? It's already lost half the value that Elon paid for it. So
I think he's going to sell it.
Yeah, but then it'll survive, and
some other good company will come in and rescue it. That's what I think.
But they've already lost enough that I think that they'll be. I'm hoping that. Remember how browsers expounded and when there was battles between Netscape and IE, we got features all the time. Yep. We got better, there was motivation to improve the product. Even though it was a free product, there was motivation to improve it. Yep. I think that this is healthy. I think this is going to be good. If Twitter survives under new management, if Threads actually, finds its way, and we have some competition here.
Yeah.
That's what, capitalism is all about, competition.
Yep. Well, the other thing is he could maintain ownership, but just take his hands off the wheel. Dude,
Can he?
Go stick to cars. And
honestly,
space.
I don't think he does much with Tesla. I think Tesla runs on its own. Right?
You're right.
And
that's why they do SpaceX too. He's mostly the visionary and the taskmaster.
I don't think he can. I don't think he has the I don't think he has the ability.
Well, wait till he finds a new thing, and he'll jump on that, and then Twitter will be
Threads,
because it'll be run on its normal thing.
All right, you guys, let's move on to something more fun to talk about, like Linux kernel stack rot privilege escalation.
Stack rot.
It's the name of my new band, Stack Rot.
There you go.
I honestly love that.
Oh, Labyrinth of Pain.
Right.
Labyrinth of Pain, man. Way back in the day.
No, Stack Rot's really cool.
Labyrinth of Pain will be our first single.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Stack Rot.
But Stack Rot, that's the name of the band. All right, what is Stack Rot anyway, Dwayne?
Stack Rot's really cool, actually. From my perspective.
From a non-Linux user perspective.
Yeah,
probably.
no, this is awesome. If I were to distill it down, what it does is it gives you the ability to do a privilege escalation.
Right.
So that means normal user, unprivileged process, whatever, you can then become, an elevated privilege, like root level access to whatever device you're on. Yeah. And that's kind of cool. So imagine, if you will, it's not something people need to run around and be freaked out that, right now you might be compromised anywhere on the internet. You have to be compromised first. You have to be at the prompt somewhere, right?
Okay.
And then this just gives you the ability to be from being a normal user to being a super user.
So as we said before, most of the time you need a remote code execution or other exploit that gets you in. And then you're usually in as some low-level process and you can't do anything. This gives you the keys to the kingdom once you're in. So it's the chaining. We have to chain together multiple exploits usually. So this isn't, I walk past your building and I'm on your server suddenly.
Right.
This is, if I'm on your servers, now I'm the king.
Yeah, the next step in the process is always, we get on a system, we're a low-level user. Next process is to privilege escalate. escalate to a higher level user, get more access, and then keep moving.
I think that was criminal career advice. Sounded like it.
Oh, excuse me.
First thing you do.
It's criminal career advice.
Yes,
That's
kids.
my
First
cue.
thing.
Sorry, I'm falling down on the job here.
You're just used to so much of it washing over you.
I know, yeah.
You just gotta hit the button constantly.
It doesn't deserve a theme song anymore. It's just kind of the way.
It's just Dwayne talking.
I know, right? Every time I open my mouth, they just hit the button. So this one's interesting because this is a use after free bug in the heap. So we had already talked about stack is where code executes. Heap is where you kind of store data structures that are used to execute.
Yeah.
In the Linux kernel subsystem from, if I remember correctly, let me look. This is Linux version 6.1 to 6.4.
Okay.
What they had done is they had changed the virtual memory area management subsystem in what they call a red-black tree, which is what it was before.
Mm-hmm.
They switched it over to this thing called maple tree, which is entirely different. And the reason they switched it is red-black tree was a little bit slow in managing memory, right? So they were trying to add performance increases. If I remember correctly, red-black tree worked on the order of log n. So what does that mean? That means if I had 100 places to check in the heap for a particular object, log of 100 is 7 point something. So it would take me 7 guesses to find that piece of information.
Okay.
So that's kind of slow. The order of log n is not great for a memory management system. So they switched over to this maple tree structure, which is faster. Unfortunately, it's so fast that there are certain issues with when they delete a node. There are ways to trick the system into to removing the data from the node, but then still pointing at it. So you get to use that node after it's been technically freed.
I see.
And that's where this bug comes from.
Okay.
So gives you the ability to then access sections of the heap that you shouldn't have, which then gives you the ability to become an administrator on the box. So
Did they revert to the slower tree?
no, I think what they've done is in the patch, they've just managed the way that locking happens inside of the memory map, which is how they're moving stuff around.
So they just changed the order of operations.
Yeah, so it's just a simple patch. You still get. Yeah.
So for the non-technical people out there, you're probably not using Linux anyway, but
You probably are, actually. You probably are. You
Really?
probably have multiple
might be.
devices.
Yeah.
And IoT devices and your Linux, your routers and your set-top boxes and all sorts of things that are
TV.
running
Good
it
point.
and you don't know.
and even your phones probably run some
Android.
version of Linux, right?
If you're using Mac OS, it's using Linux.
Yeah.
Well, Android's a version of Linux, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So your refrigerator.
Yep.
Mm.
Everything's Linux except for when it's not.
So what does this mean? Patch?
Go patch. Yeah,
Go patch?
there's a patch out there that will bring you up to speed. Just it's an interesting flaw, but if you hear the things that get names, people get freaked out about, like print nightmare, right? Oh my god, and so this does.
That's because you use them all the time. That's why.
Right? But like stack rot, really cool name, might get a lot of hype. Just realize it's only on Linux systems of a certain kernel. B, it's only a privilege escalation, which is important, but it's
Right.
not necessarily something that you need to set yourself on fire.
Hasn't Print Nightmare been in like 3 out of the last 5 reports we've given?
It's possible. Who doesn't
Yeah.
love Print Nightmare?
Exactly. So the names, there's a reason to be fearing the names. I think Stackrot's going to come back.
It's funny. We were talking about that on a pen test this week, where we were going through like who comes up with the names of these things. Like honestly, like you get like we'll go into a customer site and we'll be like, oh yeah, we were hitting your DC, so we just used the coercer. But the reason we knew how to use the coercer is because we bloodhounded it right after a ping castle so that we could find out.
Okay. Eyes are glazing over, Dwayne.
And people are like, none of that is actual terms. Like you ping castled something. What is that? So,
right.
There's all sorts of
But it's so
terms.
restrictive.
Districtive? Oh, you've invented a new word here.
I did. Like your lexographer friend.
That's right. Yeah. Grant,
Find
if
out
you're
the first time
listening.
that was used. Probably here.
Right.
Awesome.
All right. One more before the break. And guess what? It's our old friend WordPress plugins. Mwah, mwah. What happened here?
Yeah.
Just say no.
I know. Friends don't let friends use plugins. So there's a critical vulnerability found in the Ultimate Member WordPress plugin. So if you're using WordPress and you have the ultimate.
And that's how they pronounce it, not ultimate, because it's spelled ultimate.
I thought it was ultimate, but wait, hold on. I might be pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Aluminium.
It's the British way of saying it.
Actually, let's go back to words here for a minute. Aluminium was the original spelling and pronunciation. It's a different spelling.
Really?
Of aluminum. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know that at one point that aluminum was the most valuable metal on the earth?
Right. I remember.
Because they couldn't.
I don't
Couldn't
remember,
get it.
but I remember reading it.
I remember.
And back in my day, we used to forget about silver coins. We used to trade in aluminum.
When life looked like Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah. No, wait, you're right. It is ultimate. I thought it was pronounced. I don't know why it was pronounced. I thought it was pronounced differently. What do I know?
Well, there was multi-mate,
Yeah, right?
right? And so
Pen mate, paper mate,
you might have multi-mate on the brain.
ultimate. I don't know. Who knows these things anymore?
I mean, if Dwayne and I were in the same building, I'd suspect a gas leak, but we're in different places.
Listen, I'm just trying to make up new terms. Anyways, if you're using this plugin,
Yes.
this thing called Ultimate Member Plugin, which is the ultimate because it gives everybody access to your WordPress.
I gotta go back. I gotta go back for a second. Did you ever see the Saturday Night Live skit where they had the doctor, and I think it was Alec Baldwin who kept pronouncing things wrong?
Oh,
No.
Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson, but you have canker.
yes.
And I know this because I went to Yale.
Wait, did you? Well, there's also, I think it was an SNL skit where a substitute teacher comes in.
Yes.
Or might have been Funny or Die. And he's like,
Aaron.
Aaron. Is Aaron in the room?
I was
He's
just
like, that's
watching
Aaron.
that. I was just watching that. That was so funny.
Was that Keegan Michael Key?
Jack Quillen. Jack Quillen in the room.
Peele. Keenan Peele?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Keegan
it.
Michael
Oh my-
Key.
Oh, my God.
Shout out.
Yeah, so basically
So
it's a guy who's been a teacher in inner city schools, and he goes to the suburbs to substitute, and he's taking roll call, and it's completely reversed from the stereotype that you would think, right?
Oh my
So he
God,
says, "Is
so good.
Aaron here?" No, Aaron? Aaron? And the kid raises his hand. It's
You mean
pronounced Aaron. And the guy freaks out. He's like, "Shut up! You want to fight? You want to go right now?"
Jaqueline. Where's Jaqueline?
Jaqueline. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So funny.
It's so funny.
Anyway,
Anyways.
and probably very inappropriate for our show, but
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe.
but we like to have fun with security. So
So the Ultimate Member plugin, WordPress.
Yes.
Ultimate. Is Ultimate here? Ultimate. No. Anybody got the
We're not bringing
Ultimate
it around.
Member
it's a
word
little
plugin?
early for a callback, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So if you're running this plugin version 2.6.6 or less, the risk here is an unauthenticated attacker could create their own administrative account. So you want to go out and you want to update this. This is
Patch it to patch.
CVSS score of 9.8, so
Oh.
pretty high.
That's pretty high. Okay, I guess it's time to take a break. We'll be right back after these important messages. Stay tuned. And we're back. You're listening to Security This Week. I'm Carl Franklin. That's Dwayne LaFlotte and Patrick Hines. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Woohoo! Hello.
You can find us at securitythisweek.com or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's talk about Microsoft because there's two of our stories are about Microsoft and patching.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this NATO summit attack. What happened here?
It's near and dear to my heart because my nickname in high school was NATO.
Really?
Why?
I was very militant.
Yeah, but NATO is a peacekeeping force.
Yeah, NATO's like peacekeeping.
One of my teachers, I think it was one of my social studies teachers, put in my yearbook, "Please remember not to burn the villages."
Whereas
Okay.
all my comments were "stay cool forever."
Well, see, you've done that, Carl. You've done that.
Well,
Well
I'm
done.
actually trying because it's been like 100 degrees here, but trying to stay cool. All right. So anyway, what is this NATO vulnerability? NATO summit.
So this one is a 0-day bug that's been exploited in Microsoft Windows Office products. That allows an unauthenticated attacker the ability to exploit this vulnerability in get remote code execution. Oddly enough, the way to mitigate this is what people are backlashing on. So let me back up. I can craft a Word document that has certain, elements in it that will spin up a new process, that will run calculator, run an executable.
So wait, you create a text box and you put in the secret words, execute code here.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit more complicated than
Do
that.
bad stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I get someone to click on the Word doc, and inside that Word doc is it's maliciously crafted so it will spin up a new process of my choosing, so I can run any executable I feel like running. So that's bad, right? So right now, the only mitigation for this is Microsoft said, yeah, what you should do is go into the registry of your computer. So the registry is like the deep, dark configuration area.
Right.
And then you should turn off the ability for Office products to create children processes.
All right. Is that going to screw us up in terms of what we can do with Office?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Most people have pushed back and said there is almost no way you're going to be able to do this in a large organization.
How about you just don't click on Word docs that people send you by email?
Well, that's the ideal.
Yeah, you just got to really be careful
That would be
at this
fun.
point
That'd be a
until
good
there's a
idea.
patch out for this. Yeah, I know. Jeez.
That's like saying you should pray.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the risk here is like, yeah, could you go in and tell Office products they don't have the ability to spin up child processes? Yes. If you do that, you have no idea what you can or can't be able to do, right? You won't know. Like when you click print in a Word document, doesn't that spin up a child process for the printer dialog? Pretty sure it does, right? So I don't know what functionality breaks if you go in and just decide to turn off child processes, which is, that's the risk here. So
All about, as a programmer, all the cool stuff you can do on your computer is done with processes.
right.
And spinning them up and monitoring and using standard in and out. I mean, Linux is all about that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Even if that registry key accepts Microsoft signed DLLs and executables, there's so many third-party things that Office. There might be a plug-in for Salesforce. There might be all sorts of things that for integrations that people rely on. So this is why it's not a big deal for the home user, because I think printing might work.
Yeah.
And you can find out. You can find out pretty quick and then roll it back.
Maybe.
Again, I think if you're smart enough to go into the registry and change this setting, you're smart enough not to click on a frickin' Word doc, right?
Well, this is kind of like your home warranty saying, we can fix this. All you got to do is go to your electrical panel and take the face off, and where the wires connect, just go in and shave a little bit of the insulation off the red wire, and you should be fine.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because you can
And
screw
a couple
things up
people
really
will.
bad in the registry.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. And like I said, then what you'll find is, I find this all the time, sometimes when you change a security setting, like a month later, you forget you changed that. And then you see these weird things in Word and you spend hours trying to track it down. Then you're like, oh, yeah, it's because I changed this thing. This bug, although it can be damaging, like Carl had said, if somebody emails you a Word doc, don't click on it. And don't open it up, right? And it's Excel.
Even if you know who it's from. Even if it's
Microsoft Access,
even if it's from a
PowerPoint, Visio,
legitimate
et cetera.
friend, because they may be infected.
Exactly.
Now, if you were to
if only it were that easy.
Now, if you were to use the Teams Fisher that was written by the Navy we talked about last week to then send a Word document in Teams to look like it came from an internal person, that's probably a great way to get this to work.
Yeah. See last week's show.
Good chaining, Dwayne. Good
Yeah,
job.
Nice.
thank you.
Now that
Thank
was a
you.
callback right there.
I'm going to go back to our first episode.
The whole week had gone by.
Actually, our we're coming up on our anniversary next week.
Oh,
Yes. What are we going to do?
I don't know.
I know. What are you going to get me?
So we're 2 episodes.
Your own custom virus.
So this is episode 98. So 2 weeks we'll be doing our 100th episode. Is that the one we're going to do from a restaurant?
Oh, we should. Yeah. I don't see why not.
We'll have to look at the calendar.
We'll have to look at the calendar, but
Yeah.
we're definitely planning on recording a show while we're having dinner at Del Frisco's in Boston.
It's going to be
Pass
awesome.
the lobster, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you think of this one?
Oh, we got training that week. That's the week that Greg's coming up for the training.
Yeah. So if we do it a week earlier, a week late, whatever, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Maybe we can get Carl to come all the way to New Hampshire.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All right. Second Microsoft story. Microsoft July 2023 Patch Tuesday warns of 6 0 days and 132 flaws.
So there's two ways to look at this. There's glass half full and glass half empty. So glass half empty is, oh my God, this is such a piece of Swiss cheese. Microsoft's got 0 days and flaws. Or you could look at, well, we knew that all software has massive amounts of flaws.
That's
and they're
right.
all 0 days until we know about them.
Yep.
So this is good that we're finding these things.
Yeah, good.
I love this statement in here. It says, listen, the number of bugs in each vulnerability category is as follows. There were 33 elevation of privilege, so privilege escalation vulnerabilities. Wow, that's a lot. There were 13 security feature bypasses. So security features like user UAC, for example, when you double click on something and it pops up that window that says, hey, an administrator needs to do this. Is this okay? Like bypasses that bypass those things. Wow, that's kind of important.
That was Dwayne, by the way.
What?
That was you.
That was me.
Yeah.
Well, 12 of them, not all 13.
Okay.
And then 37, there were 37 remote code execution vulnerabilities where you could just send code and it would just run. 19 information disclosures. Those are low, but important. 22 denials of service, 7 spoofing bugs, like all sorts of stuff. And then the next line kills me. It says Microsoft has not fixed any Microsoft Edge vulnerabilities at this time.
What's going on over there?
Wait, does that mean there were none? Or does that mean that
there are some and they're not fixing them? I mean,
exactly.
So
it's the same team that works on Teams, right? It's the we don't care team.
Yeah.
So I think the prediction, I have a little bit of a prediction, which is not a good prediction, but I think it's right. So the more the good side is we're finding things.
Yeah.
And it's not like these were created. They were found.
Yeah.
They were there. They've always been there. And so the more times we can bring 0 days into the light, the less likely a nation state or someone else is going to be able to use them against somebody. But it's a scale. It's kind of like the monkey's paw. There's always a price to be paid.
Right.
The price to be paid is now 1 days are easier to do. So in our organization, we might have 3, maybe 4 people who could go look at this list, go look at code, and they'll go develop a vulnerability against it. Maybe we have 5. So they're heavily high-skilled people, lots of experience. Reversers are basically who we're talking about. And there's not a million of them in the world, but there's enough of them. And so the more of this fodder you get, I bet even our worst reverser could go through a list this big, find a vulnerability that they could then turn a proof of concept into, and we'd have a tool that we could use against anybody who hadn't patched yet.
Yeah.
And as we say, most people don't patch all the time. I know organizations that we've met that don't patch once a year.
This is a little crazy. So, I know somebody who I was over at their house and I was like, is that Windows Vista?
Oof.
Windows Vista. And this was only 2 years ago.
I hope you were talking about a physical window with a nice view.
And they were like, yeah, I like Windows Vista. I don't feel the need to update. I'm like, do you use the internet? Yeah. All right. Well, you are seriously risking life and limb here.
Oh my God.
It's, it's not that, you can't, yeah, but Microsoft's always pushing these updates and it's because they want to, they want us to use the latest and greatest. Okay. That's true. But they also want you to be safe.
They're free. It's not like they're charging you for them.
Okay.
Oh man,
Wow.
I got a question.
Drives me crazy.
This is confusing. If you look at this Patch Tuesday article, and I got to dig into this, but if you look at this Patch Tuesday article, it says, and this came out July 11th. It says, here are 6 actively exploited vulnerabilities. This month's Patch Tuesday fixes 6 0-day vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
That's what it says on that line.
Yeah.
And as I scroll down and I'm looking at these, I was like, oh, cool. I wonder if I'll create a 1 day. So we're talking about 1 day exploits. I was like, oh, I'll pick one of these. I'll create a 1 day. And one of them is the Office remote code execution vulnerability we just talked about that there's no patch for.
Wow.
But so they're saying that this patches it, right? If you do your patches in Windows, they're saying CVE 2023-36884 will be patched. But if you read then what's written under it in this same article, it says Microsoft has released guidance on a publicly disclosed unpatched Office bug. So,
all right. So which is it?
I don't know. I'm going to, you know what? I have to do a little bit of research to see if this is actually patched here or not, because both these articles came out the same day.
Wow. Was there a different time? What's the latest one that came out?
You know how it is. You don't publish the second you finish writing.
That's true.
For the guidance.
Something to watch for.
Yeah. I don't know.
All
Unless the patch just applies that registry change we just talked about.
Well, you could find out.
That would be horrid.
You could find out.
That would be horrid.
I know, right?
Okay.
All right.
I guess we'll talk about it next week.
Either way, patch.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. And patch, by the way. Okay. Now for our clickbait. And we need to have a discussion around this. So since last week, there have been 2 emergency security updates for iOS devices. And the second one just happened this morning.
And we've talked about this. This is a good process. It lets Apple get out updates quicker than, having to wait for a big patch day.
Right.
And I got the update. I got a notice on my phone that it was going to be patched.
And my wife, Kelly, did also. She got an update.
Did not.
And I did not, and Dwayne did not. So this is the thing. We were really concerned about this because, hey, as somebody who likes to keep their stuff up to date, I want a notification on my main screen that doesn't go away until I either cancel it or update. But I didn't get that. I learned about it actually last week, the last one from you guys posting in this one on the 10th. But then there's another one this morning, the 14th. So we figured out, or we think we have a theory that Dwayne and I are both iOS developers, meaning that our devices are registered with Apple as development, deployable devices so that we can, deploy to them locally. Right. And that's why we think we didn't get those notifications. So if you're a developer of iOS devices, you may have missed these. So go to settings and go to software update. And
we think it's tied to the account, not to the device.
Well, it could be tied to the account, but my device is provisioned as a development device. Is yours too,
Is yours, Dwayne?
Mine's not.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But you both have the beta options. I think it's your account.
Yeah, it must be the account.
Because I don't have the beta options. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you go to auto updates and you have an option for beta, you have to be more vigilant about checking for updates because you'll find them, but they're not going to be presented to you.
That's what we think anyway.
Right.
Yeah, based on the evidence. But we got a pretty good sample.
Either way, though, I would say the best possible course of action for anybody who wants to know when these patches come out is listen to Security This Week.
Absolutely. or in the absence, because it only comes out once a week, right? Every day, go to software update and see if there are any updates.
Well, listen to Security This Week every day. There you go.
There's an idea. That'll last a while.
Right. Yeah.
100 days.
Maybe.
100 nights. To know a man's heart.
Just listen to every episode 7 times now. What the hell? It's hard.
It seems a little anticlimactic again, I must say, for a clickbait article. But here's the thing. That's kind of an important distinction. People may be like, oh, I didn't get that notification. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it was weird because I was sitting actually on the couch this morning and my wife was, doing her Wordle or whatever. And it popped up saying there's a security update. And she's like, oh, should I do this update? And I was like, what update?
Yeah.
And she clicked on it and she's like, there's this security update. And then she gave me the look, how do you not know about this security update? Look.
Yeah. Well, aren't you Joe Security?
Or have I been hacked?
What's the matter with you, Dwayne?
Right, exactly. Isn't that what you do,
Mr.
Dwayne? Is security and fix printers?
Indeed.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, all right. It's been a good show. And you guys are going to be around next week, right? So we got another show next week.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.